This is Eva, and I'm going to tell you about the books I've read in January, February, and March. Okay. I'm not really going to do these in any particular order other than how they show up on my Goodreads challenge. So, here goes nothing. To start out, I have Impossible Inventions by Malgorzata Maciejewska. I'm pretty sure it was first published in Polish, so I'm pretty sure I butchered that name terribly. But anyways, it's just about all sorts of inventions it's just about all sorts of weird inventions that have popped up over the years, and it's really interesting and the illustrations are hilarious. So, I gave that one 4 stars. Second, I'm going to go with some of the books I've read recently. I'm in the middle of Fairytale Reform School, and the first book is called Flunked. And this is set in a magical world where princesses Snow White, Rose from Sleeping Beauty, Rapunzel, and Cinderella all rule a kingdom, and the main character is this thief that is trying to steal for her family, but she gets caught and has to go to a reform school, and a lot happens from there. So this is book 1, and I gave it 3 stars, mostly because it was entertaining, but it really didn't have anything else going for it other than that. So it was good. It was fun. The second book in that series, Charmed, I didn't like quite as much for most of the book, but I did like the ending pretty well. So I gave that one 3 stars also for the same reasons. This is also by the same author. It's Misfits from Royal Academy Rebels series, and I enjoyed this one more just because it was all about princesses, so it was a little more fun for me. But unfortunately, I read this before the other series, and it spoiled book 2 in the other series, so I knew what happened. So, oh well. But just for future reference, if anybody wants to read these, read Fairytale Reform School first, and then read Royal Academy Rebels, or else you'll know the plot line of Fairytale Reform School. So, I gave this one 4 stars, just because it was more my style. The next book I read is Lord of the Flies by William Golding, and I really liked the cover, and I really liked the story. It was very sad, but trying to figure out what to say. It was really sad, but it does teach a lot of lessons, and it was overall an amazing book, and I do think everybody should read it.
How many stars did you give that one?
I gave this one 5 stars. Next up, I have a series that I've been reading through audiobooks, so I do not have the books here. But it's Anne of Green Gables, and I read the first 2 books last year, and I really enjoyed those ones, or especially the first one. But I continued the series, and I read Anne of the Island and Anne's House of Dreams thus far. Anne of the Island was about Anne's college years, and it was okay. I did like some of the characters, but I didn't especially like the story that much, so I gave it 3 stars. Anne's House of Dreams was a lot better. It's about what she did after college, and I gave it 4 stars. And I gave it 4 stars because I loved it a lot more. There were very enjoyable characters, and it was funny. The next book is Uglies by Scott Westerfield. And it is set in a dystopian world, I believe, where everyone, where you get an operation when you're a certain age, I think maybe 16 or 17, to make you pretty, and then you go live in another city and have fun all the time. And it seems like the perfect life, basically, at least. Like, it's a pretty perfect scenario to end up in, but when the main character's friend runs away, she follows her to try to take her. But when the main character's friend runs away from the operation without really telling her why, necessarily, she decides to follow her. So, it's the story of what happens, and it's very interesting. I gave it 5 stars. There is a second book called Pretties, but I didn't finish it because I was kind of on the fence on some of the topics, but I think the questionable topics in there, if I had kept reading, they would have probably shown that it was not the right thing for her to do. So someday I may read that again, but I just haven't gotten around to it yet. The next book I have is The Book Thief by Marcus Zusak, and I loved this book. I gave it 5 stars, and it was amazing and sad and beautiful. But all 3 of us will be doing a review of this later on, so I'm not going to talk about it too much. Just, I absolutely loved this book. It was amazing. And so sad. And I know I said that already, but just read it. It's perfect. The next book I read is The True Meaning of Smecte by Adam Rex, and this book is so funny and so intelligent. Like, we read this as a read aloud before, and I didn't understand it very much. Like, I thought it was hilarious, but when I reread it, I noticed all the things I had missed because I had been younger and hadn't known about them that much. So, it was awesome rereading this, and usually I don't really like rereading things, but it's been happening more and more that I start rereading them, so who knows? Either way, I gave this one 5 stars, and yeah, it was great. The next book we read was in audiobook format, so I do not have it, but is All Things Bright and Beautiful by James Herriot, and it is the second book in a series, starting with All Creatures Great and Small. And these books are awesome. They're very funny, and I didn't really know that much about vets before, but I think I know a considerable amount now. Probably not nearly enough to do anything, but it has taught me a lot about veterinary service?
Medicine?
Yeah, it's taught me a lot about veterinary medicine and stuff like that, and living out in the country, it is pretty cool to, and it has given me, it's given me new appreciation for our local vet, so it's awesome. I gave it 5 stars. Next is The Wreck and Rise of Whitsun Mariner by S.D. Smith, and it is in a series of what we like to call rabbits with swords, but it's actually the Tales of Old Natalia, so it's a companion series to the Green Ember series. And I didn't especially like this one, probably because we read it a long time after we read the first one, so I didn't really understand what was going on, and I didn't really have any connections to the characters, so it was okay. I gave it 3 stars, so. And this is another part of the Green Embers series. It is Ember Rising, also by S.D. Smith, and I gave it 4 stars. I did really like this one because I knew the characters a little bit better, and I also loved the society that Heather was put into, not because it was good or anything, but because it was very interesting. That's all my books. That's all the books I've read so far, sadly. that was 13 only, so like half of what Charlotte reads in a month, but whatever. I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you'd like to, please like it and maybe subscribe. Have a good day.